Thank you for joining us. I'm Sue Henry, the Chief of the Calgary Emergency Management Agency. I'm joined today by General Manager of Infrastructure Services, Michael Thompson, and Mayor Jeremy Farkas. We're here to provide an update on the water main break along 16th Avenue Northwest and what we need from Calgarians right now. I'm pleased to share that crews have made considerable progress repairing the pipe that ruptured 9 days ago. General Manager Michael Thompson will share an update on our progress and outline the steps needed before the pipe can be put back into service. While the crews continue to do their work, I'm here to be very clear. Calgary's water system is still under strain. We are slowly turning the curve. Thank you. Yesterday's demand was 507 million litres. This is still in the red zone and is unsustainable. Unsustainable means there is no wiggle room. To meet the kind of demand we've been seeing, we are operating at full tilt, putting pressure on the Glenmore plant, the Glenmore reservoir, our treated water storage, and our pipes, leaving us unable to handle sudden increases in demand. It also means we are unable to perform anything beyond basic maintenance, such as backwashing or replacing pumps. This situation puts our system at a greater risk than we would like. We can manage in the short period, but the longer we are in the red, the worse it gets. That's why it's called unsustainable. Our smaller Glenmore water treatment plant is working hard to deliver 3 times the water it normally would. Additionally, we are using more water out of the Glenmore reservoir than normal. It is not refilling and the level is dropping. Let me explain why this matters. The water treated at the Glenmore water treatment plant is delivered to storage locations across the city. These storage locations help keep our system stable and ensure a safe, reliable water supply for homes and businesses, while also providing an important safety net for emergency situations. Our current capacity to respond to emergencies is based on what we are using and how much is available in the system. Think of the storage locations around the city like your cell phone's battery. During the day, we typically use more water, so these reserves get drawn down. In the evening, the water is replenished, just like your phone recharges when you plug it in at night. Our system will work best when we stay within the 485 million litres, the level we can reliably operate at during these significant repairs. If water use pushes us beyond that, it's like draining your phone battery too far. The storage tanks cannot recharge overnight, leaving less reserve for the next day. If this continues day after day, our storage levels gradually drop, reducing our ability to keep the system stable and to have water available for emergencies like firefighting. Every liter of water we save matters. We need the continued support of all 1.7 million Calgarians and our surrounding communities who rely on our water system every day. They will help us keep our batteries charging overnight and ensure a sustainable system. To do this, we are asking everyone to save 30 litres per day. If every person who relies on our water system saves 30 litres, we will hit the target of 485 million litres and keep that battery charged. We know many of you are helping, and thank you to those that are helping. This is the Calgary we know that helps and saves water. Saving 30 litres of water a day is doable. I'm going to show you this. This bottle holds 20 litres of water. 30 litres of water is 1.5 of these bottles. When you look at it in this perspective, this is not a lot of water. We can do this by flushing toilets only when you need to. Just flushing the toilet 3 less times in a day will save the 30 litres right there. Every minute you save in the shower uses 8 litres of water, and running your dishwashers and washing machines only when full will also continue to save water. The good news, we've seen some great examples of water-saving actions in our business community. They have all offered to help us spread the message, and many are taking action. Across the region, organizations and communities are stepping up to conserve water. Thank you. The actions that they've taken include reducing non-essential water use, adjusting operations to minimize consumption, reusing water where possible, and pausing activities like rink flooding or decorative water features. These efforts help us keep our system stable and ensure that water is available for everybody. At the city, we are taking action too. This includes making operational changes in community facilities, using non-potable water where we can, and encouraging remote work where feasible. We have also closed our showers and steam rooms and are only using our vehicle wash bays for issues that would cause a safety risk. These small adjustments, like pausing non-essential water features or keeping pools empty after maintenance, can make a big difference when we all work together. We have talked over the last while that we cannot guarantee that this pipe will not fail again. So we are taking steps to protect the community, and that is the right thing to do. This means we will begin work today on some community protection measures. Here is what you can expect in the next few days. We will be removing 2 segments of the Bow River flood barrier along Montgomery Boulevard Northwest across from Beauview Manor. This flood barrier is meant to keep river water out of the community, but if there is a break in the pipe, it would also trap water in the community. Removing these sections of the berm will allow the water to flow into the river and help protect the surrounding area. We will be working on backup plans to quickly replace these sections if needed during flood season. Further east, we will be placing temporary barriers along the Bow River pathway next to Parkdale Boulevard Northwest on a 400-meter stretch between 33rd and 30th Street Northwest. These barriers will be between the pipe and the surrounding community. In the case of a break in the area, they would route water to the river and protect nearby buildings. There will be pathway detours in place, and we will share further details on calgary.ca. Throughout the area, we will also be taking other steps, like clearing catch basins, opening outflows to the river, and changing manhole covers to make sure that the ones that we have in place will allow water to drain as quickly as possible. We also have plans in place to rapidly deploy temporary pumps to clear water away from any low-lying areas if needed. This will happen quickly, starting as soon as today. These are temporary measures as we return the pipe to service. Once the pipe is back in service, we will be working on a medium-term strategy that will stay in place until the replacement feeder main work is complete. This is being done as we cannot guarantee we will not experience another failure as the pipe comes back into service. Calgary, thank you, and we continue to need your help. Every liter counts, and every single person makes a difference. If each of us saves 30 liters a day, we can return to sustainable levels together. Thank you in advance for doing your part, and I'd now like to pass to General Manager Michael Thompson.
Thank you, Chief Henry. I'd like to start off today by providing an update on the repair site. Work on the repair is progressing well thanks to the efforts of our city crews and contractor crews. As mentioned earlier, the damaged section of pipe has been removed and the new pipe segment has now been welded in place. There are still several important steps before the pipe can go back into service. The backfilling of soil around and above the pipe started last night. Once completed, crews will start repairing the road above the pipe. Completing the repair and fixing the road are very important activities, but not the end. We need you to continue to conserve water until we restore water service. We still have several critical steps to restore water to the system and make sure the water quality meets or exceeds all regulatory standards and is clean and safe to drink. Let me walk through some of these critical steps we will be doing in the days ahead. To restore service to the feeder main and stabilize our system, we need to move carefully. We have 4 next steps: filling the feeder main, testing the water, stabilizing the system, and easing out of water conservation. This is delicate work. Each one of these steps carries risk, and it is likely that we could have setbacks along the way. Right now, a 7-kilometer section of the pipe is empty. Our first step is to refill it. We will do this by opening valves and starting to flow water from the Barris Paul plant into the pipe. not using water from the Glenmore Reservoir, which we need to save to ensure we have enough to get us through to the spring runoff. It will take approximately 48 hours to fill the pipe, using almost 22 million liters of water. During the filling stage, the pipe will experience an increase in pressure, which increases the risk of stress and potential further breaks. While we have this risk for all pipes that we are returning to service, the risk on this pipe is increased because of its fragile condition. We are managing this risk by filling the pipe carefully and monitoring the pipe with sensors as we fill it. Once the filling is complete, the second step is to ensure that the water in the feeder main is clean and safe. To do this, we work with Alberta Health Services and environmental and protection areas. We will take samples of the water in the pipe and they will be sent to the lab for testing. Microbiology analysis requires 24 hours to observe any formation of bacteria that could be harmful to the public. Water quality parameters must meet or exceed water quality guidelines. All results are shared and reviewed by Alberta Health Services and environment and protected areas. If the results show the water is safe, we can move to the next stage. If the results show any issues with water quality, we will need to replace the water in the pipe and do additional testing, which will take 24 plus hours to complete. The third step, once the water in the pipe meets or exceeds all safety and regulatory requirements, we will start flowing water from the feeder main through the rest of our system. This step involves turning on pumps at the Bearspaw plant, which will increase pressure in the feeder main and start water flowing through our network. Stabilizing the system will take about 48 hours. This stage has the highest level of risk. Each time pressure changes are introduced into the feeder main or other pipes within the system, whether from flushing, filling, or adding additional pumping capacity, pipe connections and pipe walls experience additional stress. We will be carefully monitoring the performance of our system during this stage and making necessary adjustments. The fourth step, I know that everyone is very keen to know when we'll ease out of water conservation. We're actively working on what this will look like, but we expect that it will happen in stages as the system stabilizes. As we move through the steps, we will have more details on timing and will come back with updates on our progress. As I have mentioned before, there is no guarantee that the pipe will not break again. As Chief Henry mentioned, we are putting community protection measures in place to reduce the risk should we experience another pipe break. If we do experience another pipe break, we will not only repair that break, but we will also complete a number of urgent repairs using the concrete encasement method I discussed earlier this week. And if the pipe returns to service without issues and operates until spring, we will be shutting it down in the spring to do the urgent repairs using the concrete encasement method. I know this is not where you want to be, and I know that we have asked a lot of you. I need to continue to ask you to conserve water while we work through these emergency repairs. The biggest risks that we all have right now are protecting the Glenmore Water Treatment Plant and keeping as much water in the Glenmore Reservoir as we can until the spring runoff starts. Just like you depend on water, right now the water system depends on you. Thank you for your continued support, and I'll now hand it over to Mayor Farkas.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. And as you guys heard through the last evening of council, my voice is leaving me after fighting just a bit of a cold here, so please bear with me if I start coughing spontaneously. So good afternoon, Calgarians. I'm here to provide you with an update on our water system, what the independent report found, what we're seeing on the ground, and what this moment requires from all of us. Last night, council met late into the evening as part of a special urgent meeting that I convened to immediately publicly release and action the findings of the Bearspaw South Feeder Main Independent Review. I thank panel chair Siegfried Kiefer for his leadership and panelists Michael Crothers, Gordon Embloom, Nancy Foster, Bob Kerr, and Stephen Stanley for bringing deep expertise and independence to this work. I also thank the advisory group composed of Don Farrell, Wayne Stensby, and Dr. Edward McCauley for their support throughout this process. These senior Calgarian and Canadian leaders brought collectively 2.5 centuries of experience in critical infrastructure, utilities, risk management, and engineering to this work. This independent report looked at the failure of the Bears Paw South Feeder Main, the pipe that carries up to 60% of Calgary's drinking water, and the broader condition of our water utility. The panel was asked 3 questions. What happened? Why did it happen? And how do we make sure it never happens again? That's why Council acted immediately last night, voting to fast-track an implementation plan to address these findings. At the same time, administration is already moving ahead on the work that doesn't require Council direction, namely the acceleration of the replacement pipe. We are not slowing down, we are not passing the buck, and we're not waiting for another failure to force action. As your mayor, I am taking personal responsibility. This work is underway and it will be seen through. At the same time, I want to update Calgarians on what's happening right now on the ground. There has been very significant progress at the work site. The new section of pipe has been installed and welded in place. Backfilling or putting earth back over the pipe is underway. Water services and mobility are working closely to ensure a smooth and fast transition to paving crews. And 31 homes and the soccer center will have water services restored today. Calgary, while we are still dealing with a very sick pipe, the end of this immediate repair is in sight. We are turning a corner. But I want to be very clear. We are not in the clear yet. When this pipe does go back online, as mentioned previously, it still carries great risk until it is fully replaced. There is some good news. Yesterday, Calgary's water use dipped slightly, but that is still in the red zone. Calgary, reducing water use right now protects the overall health of the system and supports firefighting capacity. So we need to see shorter showers, full loads of laundry and dishes, fewer flushes, small actions on their own, but citywide times 500,000 people, they make a real difference. A major water main break is not just a frustrating inconvenience. It is a serious infrastructure failure that affects the entire city. So until repairs are complete, every liter matters. Calgary has always stepped up when it counts, and this is one of those moments where it counts. Doing the right thing right now is simple and powerful. I also want to sincerely thank our city crews. From communications teams to engineers, contractors, and emergency responders, they are working long hours in difficult conditions to repair infrastructure most people never see, but everyone relies on. Their expertise, commitment, and professionalism are why we can be confident this work is being done safely and correctly. So to our crews, thank you. Calgary sees you, and we appreciate you. To residents, thank you for conserving water, thank you for your patience, and thank you for being part of the solution. We will continue to provide updates. We will get through this together. We are working as fast as we can to get this pipe back online, but our work does not stop there. We're committed to replacing this pipe, not just as a short-term fix, but as a long-term solution for the next generation of Calgarians. Thank you for being here. I'm happy to answer any questions.
So the question was, why has the utility underspent its capital budget in the last decades? And it's a great question. Obviously, we have been very focused on improving the capital spend across the city. Historically, the capital spend across the entire city was around 60%. We refocused our efforts to make sure that we were really delivering the investments that council had made. In 2024, we spent over 90% of our capital budget. 2025, we've spent similarly over 90% of the capital budget. And this year, we are focused on delivering even more. Across the entire city, Council has approved $3.8 billion in capital work for 2026, including over $1 billion for the utility, which is more than 3 times what had been previously approved.
They were unable to advance certain projects, and that's why that was going so well in the last few years.
There have been a number of issues across the city that kept our capital delivery lower. A couple of years ago, we were really focused on how do we increase that number. And a number of cities have asked, how have we increased that number? And it's really about focus and leadership to drive that going forward.
Question for maybe Mayor Farkas, if you could. The last 4 days, the water usage number's been unsustainable. If you look back at that data set, it looks very similar to the numbers Calgary used say in mid-December. When this crisis wasn't on our hands. I'm just wondering, where you feel that the message is being lost a little bit, and what we can continue to do collectively at the city to maybe improve that communication, just to get that number more to where you need.
For sure. This is definitely a frustrating situation to be in, let alone during the holidays. As Calgarians have continued to return back from travels, they've been engaging in those reductions. So just want to compliment and thank the Calgarians who've been stepping up. During the holidays, it's a very challenging time to be able to get the word out. The city's been good in terms of being proactive through the media, as well as the incredible amount of support from the media as well, getting the word out through social media, other alternative channels. But let's be clear, we're still in the crisis zone. We still have a lot more work to do. We need to push hard for just a couple more days here to be able to buy the needed time for the crews to deliver those repairs. And make no mistake, our council is keeping the foot on the gas. We're going to continue to take the needed steps to not just support the first responders on the front line in the immediate fix, but action the medium-term alternative, which is building the new pipe, as well as the larger governance changes that have to happen so that Calgarians can have the confidence that this will never happen again.
And just follow up maybe on Thompson's expertise. Over the last couple days, we've gotten a lot of people reaching out about car washes in particular, and I know former Mayor Gondek was outspoken and continues to support car washes. Maybe there's some misconceptions about the amount of water, fresh water that they use. Could you maybe just help kind of explain to Calgarians, why washing your car is not a crime?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Really about why our car wash is still allowed. And we really learned a lot in 2024 about car washes. They use about 85% of the water is recycled through the car wash. So it doesn't use a lot of new fresh water coming in. They're not one of our highest water users. We're focused on those top 200 highest water users, really to bring that number down. And so that's why car washing is still allowed, but we're asking Calgarians, if you don't need to wash your car at this time, please don't. We understand from a safety perspective, if there's salt and grime on it, on the windshield and the lights, that you need to clean that off. But really, we're almost, as the mayor said, we're turning the curve. We're almost through this first emergency response, and hopefully we will have that water restored shortly.
My question is for Chief Henry. And following up on the previous question, just about getting the word out, it seems that's like a massive challenge right now. We're aware of it. The message is coming clearly for those who receive it, but many people still aren't receiving it. I still hear from people who are totally oblivious. The most recent thing I heard was somebody saying, I don't live near the water break, so this doesn't affect me. So there's still a lot of public confusion and just people not knowing. So my question is about the emergency alert, the one that goes through regardless of what apps you have on your phone, which seems to me the best surefire way to send a very clear message to everybody. Do you think that's necessary at this point? And is there anything standing in the way of it?
Thank you for the question. No, I do not believe a critical alert is required at this point in time. We have a number of different channels that we can continue to get the message out through citizens, through various different partners of the Calgary Emergency Management Agency. We remain ready to use that critical alert if we need it. And if we need it, it will be something like a problem in the Glenmore plant, another pipe break that happens somewhere in the city that puts us in a position where we are in dire need of water, and we need citizens to act instantly. We only get one shot at that through an event like this, and we need to save that shot for when we absolutely need citizens to take an action and take an action now. Right now, with all of the channels that we have out there, we believe citizens will help us, and they are helping us. We are starting to see that trend go down. We are turning the curve in water use and continue to use every single channel that we have available to us. We did issue a non-broadcast intrusive alert yesterday through the Alberta Emergency Management Agency app, which is just another tool in our toolbox to get that information out.
And when it does come time, if it comes time to hit that button, I just want to get clarity on the criteria. Do you have the ability to instigate that even if there's not an immediate threat to life? Like if the Glenmore plant goes down or there's some problem that's like you better reduce water now, do you have the ability to do that in a fast way?
Yes, every single one of the Calgary Emergency Management Agency staff is an authorized user of that system and has the ability to instantly issue that alert from either their cell phone or from their computer. So we are able to act very quickly if we come into a situation where that is needed.
It's Scott from post meeting. Jeremy asked the first question I had, but I'll follow up by asking about a state of local emergency. That was declared 10 days after the original break in 2024, after the 5 hotspots had been identified. Is that a possibility this time around, regardless of whether other weak points of the pipeline are discovered?
At this time, we are not recommending a state of local emergency. For us, there's certain powers that are provided by that, and we need to be after the use of one of those powers. Because we learned so much from the last event that we had a lot of the equipment in place. We had the plans in place to be able to repair this pipe. That means that we did not need a state of local emergency in order to do that work. We continue to be ready if something were to change, and we did require that. That is something that we could do at the time if we needed one of those specific powers.
My follow-up is unrelated, but I was curious if we could quantify the amount of water used in the flushing of the feeder main in the northeast, as well as the required flushing that took place in the boil water advisory impacted areas after that advisory was lifted.
We don't have those numbers for you, but we will commit to get back to you through our media relations folks. We'll pull all those numbers for you.
Mayor, just after hearing from the panel, has that affected your view on whether the city needs to shake things up when it comes to those senior administration decisions?
Well, the panel certainly underscores the urgency, not just in the long term and the medium term, but also here and now. The advice from the panel, as we were in the council meeting, was to take the next week, really focus on getting us around the corner on this specific emergency that we're in. And that's why we're calling on Calgarians to continue to step up in a big way to be able to help us support our first responders, our frontline crews who are working 24/7. So we are committed as a council unanimously to action the recommendations from the panel. There's going to be short, medium, and long-term actions, but make no mistake, our council is absolutely committed to holding our city administration accountable, as well as welcoming the public to hold us accountable to make sure that we action these needed reforms to ensure that something like this never happens again. But right now, here and now today, this is very much about getting us around the corner to be able to address this very live crisis that we are in.
And then council asked administration to come back with recommendations on an implementation plan, not an implementation plan. How do you see the difference, and does that mean that the recommendations in this report could be watered down?
For sure. So there was an amendment last night that simply it asked the city administration to provide some advice on how to implement the recommendations of the panel report. So I certainly hope that council will hear from administration in terms of what they think. Of course, I personally, as mayor, want to push as hard as possible for as pure a possible implementation of what the independent panel has given us. They have done the work over the past 9 months. These are individuals collectively with 2.5 centuries of experience of running high performance organizations, pipeline companies, public utilities. They have done this work. Now it is time for City Council to listen and to action that work. That said, we expect they will be continue to be involved over helping us as a council oversee this process. So no, council is absolutely committed to this. What we debated last night was not any type of watering down. Of course, there will be some debate largely around just cost and resourcing. Our council needs to do what it takes to show Calgarians that this work is being done and that we're doing absolutely everything within our toolkit, including better governance and potentially a wholly owned subsidiary that allow us to be able to action those goals. But really in the short term, right here and now, we are in a public crisis. We need to rally to support our frontline and first responders by taking immediate actions to reduce water use.
You mentioned that, if there were to be another break in this case, just on camera for you, we would call it. If there would be another break in this case, it could lead to addressing more hotspots. So what happens in the case of, let's say the pipeline is repaired, in this case, what happens between now and the spring? We're kind of waiting to see if there's another break and then address that, or is there other kind of proactive measures that does seem to take?
Yeah, so questions, what happens from now until the spring? And so from now until the spring, we're immediately working at returning the pipe to service. That will be over the coming days as we do that work. Again, this is a critical time. The pipe could break again as we return it to service, as I ran through in my notes. And so we are really watching it as we return it to service. If there is no break as we return it to service and we get it back in operation, we will be monitoring it 24/7 actively as we go forward. If there is a break in the line, we have the parts and the people ready to spring into action immediately to go and fix that break. At the same time, if a break happened, we would come in and we would repair additional hotspots that we have identified. These additional hotspots that we had been monitoring with the fiber optic line, if you remember on December 30th, we thought we would hear something, some wire snaps, if the pipe was about to break. We were always knew the pipe was operating in a reduced capacity and in a real fragile state, but we were monitoring it. What we learned on December 30th is while monitoring helps to reduce risk, it doesn't eliminate it. And so we need to be ready to go and do additional repairs to improve the ability that we can get this line through until the replacement line's done. If there are no breaks until spring, we will be shutting the line down in the spring once the water flows into the Glenmore Reservoir, start to pick up with the spring runoff. At that point, we will go and do those additional repairs and then bring the line back into service. While we are doing all of that, we are going to accelerate that replacement pipe project. We had already accelerated doing the design in 8 months instead of the typical 2 years. But what we learned on December 30th is we have to go faster than we've gone before. And so we're focused right now on what we can do to speed that project up to get that new line installed.
I think the last question, Joanne, is for Mayor Farkas. The review solely looked at the city's water systems and found just a myriad of issues of accountability and risk management. Do you believe that some of those issues exist elsewhere in City Hall as well?
Well, right now, here and what's before us is to get through the next 48 hours. Right, council on an ongoing basis through the course of our budget review is going to continue to review every single department as part of a zero-based review process, seeking organizational efficiencies, making sure that we have the right people in the right positions to continue to execute. But make no mistake, we are here over the next 48 hours for an extremely, extremely critical time before this feeder main repair. So we're calling on Calgarians to continue to support our front line, our first responders, so that we buy them the needed time to be able to address this issue. And over the medium term, this is very much the new reality that we are facing. We have a ticking time bomb underneath our streets. This feeder main, it is sick, it is terminally ill. It is likely to, well, I'm not an engineer, I'm not here to describe likeliness, but it could fail next week, it could fail next year. We need to be prepared for that and we need to be proactive around that. So our council is continuing to ensure that we're delivering on a safe and reliable water system through a series of short, medium and long-term actions, and that extends to our governance role in other departments as well.
So would something like a full review of City
Well, our job as mayor and council is to review everything that the city does. So as board of directors, we are involved in overseeing about 20,000 incredible city hall workers who work every day delivering the services that Calgarians rely on. And it's not just water utility that Calgarians need to know is safe and reliable. It's public transit. It's electricity through NMAX. It's public safety. It's all of the other critical utilities. So this is a council that's very much engaged, leaning in, working with those experts, but also actioning those recommendations. So we are absolutely committed as a team, as Team Calgary. And what this moment calls for us as a team is to really rally to support our first responders, our frontline crews. They're working in the trenches literally 24/7 to action this fix. The next 48 hours is really critical. So that's why we have to continue to support them so that they can get the needed time to action this work.
I think that concludes today.
There's only one. It would be quick. This one, I'm not sure who would be the best to answer this, but given that, I'm sure you know how much water we have available, and how much water we've been using, kind of trend on this trend. Do you have an idea on how much longer this water would last? I mean, we know that early next year, this pipe is set to be repaired, but it could bust again soon. So do you have an idea on how much, what the timeline would be for when you would do that water?
So the question is, what's the timeline for how much water we have? And really, I've said before, there's two risks we're looking at right now. The Glenmore Water Treatment Plant and the amount of water in the Glenmore Reservoir. The amount of water in the Glenmore Reservoir, if we get this pipe returned to service next week, we have 2 more opportunities to take that pipe out of service and do urgent emergency repairs before we're in a critical state in the Glenmore Reservoir. That's why we are so focused right now on returning this pipe to service and working to get to the spring until those spring runoff starts to come in and restore the Glenmore Reservoir.
When's the road gonna be open? Just 16th Avenue? I know one lane eastbound is open right now. Is any indication of when we can see it open fully, or when it's safe for travel, when the paving starts?
So questions on when will 16th Avenue open? We are starting to backfill. We started last night backfilling the pipe. We will backfill around and above the pipe. Crews will start paving 16th Avenue, and we will open it once it's safe for crews and the public to go on. I don't have a defined date right now, but crews are working on that.